We start up north, and girls in the Dafiama Busie Isa district who are forced to prematurely end their education due to pregnancy will no longer be made to suffer the consequences alone. Authorities say those who are responsible, if they happen to be in school, will also be made to forfeit their education for as long as their victims stay out of school. Whilst this, they say, should help reduce the increasing number of teenage pregnancy cases being recorded in the district. Rafik Salam filed this report after an exclusive interview with the Dafiama Busie Isa DCE, Fidelis Zumakpe.
According to the DCE, the district has so far identified about 30 girls impregnated within the 2013-2014 academic year alone, with some teachers named as being responsible. Majority of the cases, he said, were coming from the Kujukberik circuit. He described the situation as worrying and unacceptable and laid the blame on parents, pupils and the Education Directorate for not playing their roles effectively. He noted with sadness that all the girls have dropped out of school, while the men responsible for their plight are still going about their normal duties without any punishment. He said education is the bedrock of every community and called on all actors in the education sector to make conscious effort to nip the practice in the bud before it destroyed the future of girls in the district. The DC said the government has done tremendously well in the education sector in the district by eliminating schools which hitherto were under trees and replacing them with decent classrooms, and also increasing both the capitation grant and the number of schools under the Ghana school feeding program.
If, for instance, a boy impregnates a girl and they're in the same school, now the guy goes to the school, he continues to go to the school while the child dropped out. I think that one of the sanctions we have indicated we want to apply is that when that happens, what is going to happen is that the boy too will have to wait until the girl gives birth. And when the girl gives birth and continues, we want to ensure that we police all of them such that as soon as they finish a delivery and the baby is okay, they will go back and continue their education. In that case, we'll let the boys also go back to continue. Otherwise, just to serve as a deterrent even to the boys that are involved in this thing.
The Member of Parliament for the Dafiama Busie Isa constituency, who also doubles as chairman of the Education Select Committee in Parliament, Matthias Buza, was equally worried about the issue and called for stiffer punishment in order to put the district on the right path again.
As a teacher or as a district, we do not want to be among those who are considered as non-performers as far as the BEC and SHS results are concerned. So, because if they do not do well at the basic level, it means they will not do well at the senior level, and therefore will not do well at the tertiary level. And if you do not have the right human resource, then there's no way you can develop as a district.
Rafik Salam's report from Isa in the Dafiama Busie Isa district.
Well, the Interior Ministry has given indications a curfew imposed on the northern region town of Duri could be lifted this Friday. It follows assurances from the chief of the area, David Kansuk, that there will be no further disturbances if the curfew is lifted. The Interior Minister, Kwesi Ahoy, told the chief he's equally eager to have the curfew lifted, but says his assurances will come in handy.
It's one thing putting a curfew, and the other thing getting our brothers and sisters going to their farm in peace, knowing very well that they will come back in one piece. I'm in a hurry to lift the curfew because it limits our freedom, the freedom of movement. It hurts our other jobs. I've talked about the farming job. But on my own, I cannot lift the curfew unless and until NABA, aided by the Regional Security Council and the District Security Council, ask me to do so. We can only lift the curfew if there's an assurance that peace has returned or will return, and that people can go about their work free from fear. Since we imposed the curfew, there has been no shooting, no death. But does that mean there is peace? Maybe the curfew, like
The Medical and Dental Council has submitted its final report on investigations into the missing baby saga at the Curfew Teaching Hospital. Public Relations Officer at the Health Ministry, Tony Goodman, however, says the Nursing and Midwifery Council failed to meet the stated deadline.
In February this year, the body of a stillborn baby went missing at the Curfew Teaching Hospital, fueling attacks on the hospital staff by relatives of the mother, Sweba, who demanded the authorities produce the corpse to confirm that indeed the baby was dead. The fallout caused the health minister to institute investigations into the matter, leading to the removal of the hospital's chief executive, having been asked to proceed on leave. This was ahead of the conclusion of investigations the minister demanded from the two councils by April 15. The Health Ministry PRO confirms the 70-page report has been submitted by the Medical and Dental Council. Its contents cannot yet be made public.
We've received some letters from the Nursing and Midwifery Council requesting for extension of dates for the submission of their report. For Medical and Dental Council, they have they are doing the necessary documentation to submit their report. I can't tell you what is in it, but I hope that after their submission, the committee will look at it and we would advise the minister accordingly. But for the Nursing and Midwifery Council, they brought a letter requesting for an extension, so we are also looking at that. We will not shield anybody. We will continue to be there for the public. Our staff will also be there for them. But where the need be that we crack the whip, we're going to do that.
He also denied media reports suggesting the ministry had offered some money as compensation to Swebe's family.
We've not mentioned any of the statements we've issued. We've not mentioned any of the press conferences we've held here that we are giving any amount of money. We've not mentioned it. But if some of those things are reported in the media, I would wish to believe that it is not the ministry. I'm not referring to the ministry, but maybe somebody is offering. Maybe somebody out there, not the Ministry of Health. At the last press conference, we mentioned that we're going to meet with the woman and the family. Why are we doing that? You need to restore hope. This woman is alive and will continue to seek for healthcare delivery. You need to create that kind of atmosphere that she can easily say that I'm going to hospital. She will still be, she might be pregnant and she would want to seek for healthcare. You don't let people feel that bad that they see hospital to be their enemy. That is what the ministry, we are there for. We are saying that people should have courage to visit hospital. So if you have one person saying that I am not okay with service delivery, as a ministry, the madam, you have to go there and talk. Those are some of the things we're going to do.
Some health officials have also been arrested and are facing prosecution for their involvement in the matter.
Residents of Greater Estates here in Accra are angry at city authorities for citing a waste processing facility at the former Teshi compost plant despite a ban notice by the Environmental Protection Agency. Residents are serving notice they would hit the streets if work continues on the project. A report by Justice Beidou.
The Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, in an agreement dated 15th June 2009, contracted Zoom Lion Ghana Limited to decommission the Teshi dump site to be used as a recreational ground. This followed years of deteriorating sanitation at the area after the plant, constructed in 1979 for the manufacture of fertilizer for local farmers, broke down in 1986 and over the years evolved into a refuse dump. 5 years on, there is no recreational facility to show. Rather, a waste processing plant has been put up without permission from the EPA. It is unclear who is behind this project, but Joynews investigations indicate that another agreement has been signed between the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, the Lojokuku Krowo Municipal Assembly, Zoom Lion, and EWS, a Turkish company, for the waste transfer plant to be constructed contrary to the initial agreement. The EPA, in a letter dated 3rd April 2014, ordered work on the facility to stop, but that has not happened.
When they are putting the building, we thought it was a recreational ground that they are building. Later, before we heard that it was this thing, they are coming again. In fact, help us, else we will fall sick. Those days, we've been going to chicken pox, whatever it was.
At this moment, we don't know what they were doing. We heard that they are bringing another baller here too. So we, the residents, we doesn't like it, because it's creating problem to us, sickness, diseases, flies and other things. So we don't want it.
We are not against the project that is going on. We are only against the siting of the project, because it was there formally and it was causing havoc.
And everybody knows that this place is no more a dumping site. Now the Zoom Lion company who was awarded this contract is doing something else. When you go to AMA website, you see that they are now carrying out another project unknown to residents here.
Workers at the site, most of whom are Turkish, turned down our request for an interview and would not allow us to film.
I wasn't in when this project started. They confidently told me that they are going to EPA. They are going to this place so that later they will inform me so that we can sit down and see our way forward. I was waiting. This morning, they brought me this letter. This morning, they brought me this letter that the EPA people says they haven't given them the go ahead. I was trying to reach the managers and I think the director, so that I will know exactly what is happening there. All of a sudden, you people have come.
MCE for Lekma, Seth Bedutewias, says he has tried stopping the project, even though his office is supposed to be part of the agreement for the work to be done. Though the residents hailed the idea of a waste processing facility, they fear the outbreak of diseases as the area would now be a garbage transfer site. Justice Baidu, Joynews.
The police in Accra on Tuesday embarked on a sting operation targeted at criminals who use motorbikes in their activities in the metropolis. Position at vantage point, the officers involved in the operation arrested all motorbike riders who came their way and released them only after their details had been taken and found to have genuine registration documents or not. The Nima division, which impounded nearly 300 of these motorbikes, says the operation is a new strategy being used by the police to control crime in the city.
The Nima district pitched camp at the Paloma traffic lights along the Ring Road early Tuesday morning, and by 9 a.m. over 30 motorbikes had been impounded. The riders were allowed to collect their properties from the motorbikes and only told it was a general operation.
I had my stuff in my box on my way to my normal schedule. I got here and I was asked to stop, so I just complied. And so I spoke to my bosses, which of course they are all here.
The moment I reached here, they asked me to stop. What's the reason why I'm so? They say they are doing screening. Screening for what? They are protecting us. For what? They say some of our colleagues do not have papers, so we have to stop any bike, whether you are EMS, DHL, you are stopping any bike. And I asked them for how long. They say we have to meet at the station, but I don't know what is going on. And when you ask them, they say just bring your papers.
I'm just on my normal duty, and then they just stopped me and arrested me. They said they are arresting any motorbikes, and then I was arrested. That they are taking me to the station before they will verify my documents, and then if my documents are genuine, and then they will release me. That's what they said. You have your documents? I have my documents, everything. You can see it in my hand. I tried showing it to them. They said they can't do anything unless they take it to DVLA to verify.
The team also embarked on a similar operation in Nima and Newtown. But here, they were not very successful, as some of the riders managed to escape. Others also got violent and were taken into custody. By 1:30 in the afternoon, quite a number of riders were yet to have their motorbikes released to them, with virtually all of them clueless as to why their bikes were being detained.
So if I have my motor and with all inscriptions written on the motor, my insurance, my license, my documents, and you still let me spend a whole day here, that is my problem. At the end of the day, if I'm marked for working on each day. I'm not going to be marked. Or a little document, if I'm not able to present it at the close of the day, my company might lose a whole contract. That will fetch the company money to pay me.
But we are working with companies, so if they are doing operation, they have to even consider the company that we are working with before maybe you're doing the operation. And I asked one of the policemen that what are the documents that they need before they will release the bag for, and they said they need the motor papers. So I went back to our office at Asalam Dam to go and pick the papers to come and show you to them. It can even make the company lose their job, and then I will lose my job.
Shortly after that, though, the Nima Divisional Commander, Chief Superintendent Nuhu Jango, briefed the media, providing some insights as to what the operation was all about.
The Regional Commander, in collaboration with the Regional Security Council and Inspector General of Police, mandated us to clamp down on these motorbikes and then screen owners, find out those who have genuine documents. Intelligence have shown that most of these numbers are numbers of accident vehicles which have been rebranded and put on motorbikes. So we are going to vet all those things. And all over Accra, this exercise was carried out simultaneously. So it was not as if you ran away from Nima, you could get safe haven or Doko because police was operating.
He added that all those whose motorbikes had been detained would be screened and released, except for those who are unable to produce genuine registration documents. Those, according to him, will be processed for court. A total of 297 motorbikes were detained under the Nima division, 102 at the airport police station, 92 at Nima, 30 at Kotobabi and 73 at Legon.
Well, the Minister of Trade and Industry has warned of the potential disruption in Ghana's exports to EU markets if the country fails to commit to the Economic Partnership Agreement by October 2014. Addressing journalists at the Meet the Press series in Accra, Haruna Idrisu said Ghana necessarily has to take a decision after an impending stakeholder meeting with civil societies.
According to the minister, the agreement allows Ghana to have 100% access to the European market, except for rice and sugar, while EU countries would have 75% access to the Ghanaian market, duty-free and quota-free. He noted that currently over 40% of the country's exports goes to the EU market, and therefore wondered what would happen to the economy when the EU denies the nation entry. He predicted dire consequences for Ghana.
That the EU as a regional bloc have given 1st October 2014 as a deadline to which if we don't commit to the market access regulation, they would not allow us access to the EU market. So note that the EU have taken a position ratified by the EU Parliament that on or after 1st October 2014, if Ghana does not sign and ratify an economic partnership agreement, we risk losing access to the EU market on the basis of the market access regulation, which is replacing the Cotonou trade agreement per 2008. If we do not sign, it may lead to a potential disruption of our exports. And we need to take a decision as a country which is in our best national interest and to prepare our capacities to respond to it.
He however announced that in anticipation of government's decision on the EPA, the ministry has launched an export strategy and national export development program to help identify strategies that can develop Ghana's export base.
We have launched the national export strategy, which is seeking to increase our exports from the current $2.3 billion to $5 billion by end of 2017. And we are beginning to put in place the National Export Development Program in identifying the extent to which we can take advantage of an open EU market to increase our export base.
The Trade and Industry Minister further added that signing the partnership will challenge Ghana to build its competitiveness, increase the capacity of local industries, and increase exports to take advantage of the opportunity. Matilda Pamaga for Joynews.
will still have to remain on trade as the Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki, is asking government to review the new axle load regulation as well as the ban on the importation of used fridges. Well, he contends the move is making Ghana lose huge revenue to neighboring economies, which remain alternative routes for importers.
The Ministry of Roads and Highways, through the Ghana Highway Authority, began implementing the axle load regulations this year to protect the road network from excess load, which they say sharply reduces their lifespan. The regulation kicks against the 60 tons maximum axle load limit allowed for a 16-axle truck. The Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, however, believes the regulations have backfired.
When you go to Togo, Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire, this is where the Mali, the Niger business that we used to get, because the axle load that Ghana says it was ECOWAS law and we've implemented it. Now, those countries are loading 68. Ghana says 60. So because of that, all the importers diverted their business there. It's reducing our revenue in this country. They should come out with the statistics to show that compared when there used to be axle load in this country, when we used to have our sister's country, Mali and Niger, doing business with us, and then we used to have used fridges come to this port, this country every day we are clearing, the revenue we used to make. And when they started banning these things, implementing these policies, and when they started introducing special levy tax, and when they started also again adding VAT, they should come out with the statistics for us to see how deep revenue is in this country.
Samson Asaki was also unhappy about the current ban on the importation of second-hand refrigerators.
Because of the banning of the used fridges, the importers are now diverted their the fridges to Burkina Faso and Abidjan. They clear there, they sell there, and they go back to buy. What it's telling you is that they will ship the goods there, the cargo there, they'll go and clear there, pay duty, like they're supposed to be paying duty for Ghana government to get money to do developmental things. You ban it and they take the business somewhere, they pay duty, and that country will be growing, that country will be developing. Your country will be depriving, your economic will be sinking. This is what is happening. So we think governments will rethink its decision. Environmental pollution, we all sign. Nigeria sign, Burkina Faso sign, Cote d'Ivoire, they are all signatories to it. They do not implement it. Why you? Why only Ghana? If they wake up now, Ghana will first people to implement. For what?
The ban on used fridges is meanwhile to reduce energy consumption as well as protect the environment.
Well, Ghana has banned the export of ferrous scrap metal to ensure there is enough raw materials available to sustain the local steel industry. Trade and Industry Minister Haruna Idrisu on Tuesday told the media government was also drafting legislation to establish an international trade commission to deepen and enforce anti-dumping measures in the country.
According to the Trade Minister, Haruna Idrisu, while steel manufacturers often complain they do not have enough raw materials to sustain the industry, a lot of the metals are exported to other countries, who eventually dump the finished goods in Ghana at a much cheaper prices. Haruna Idrisu stressed that the ban comes into immediate effect and replaces current measures in place meant to ensure that the only scrap metal leaving the country was surplus to the needs of local industry.
It was an appropriate thing to do to protect and to ensure the sustenance of the steel industry in this country. We did it because that is the basic raw material of our steel industry. Unless we are asking them to fold up when they have no access to raw materials, you could not be encouraging the exports of those ferrous scrap when your own industrial establishment needed to have access to those raw materials.
He added that government will provide concessional loans to selected local firms, mostly small-scale manufacturers, to enable them add value to their products in order to reduce the country's excessive import bill. Matilda Pamagan for Joynews, Accra.
Well, so that'll be it for the latest news highlights we have for you. Before we go, though, a recap of our top stories.
Well, girls in the Dafiama Buzie Isa district were forced to prematurely end their education due to pregnancy will no longer be made to suffer the consequences alone. Why? Authorities say those who are responsible, that's the boys, if they are in school, will also be made to drop out for as long as the girls stay out of school.
The Nursing and Midwifery Council has failed to meet the April 15 deadline to submit a report on the missing baby saga at the Curfew Teaching Hospital.
And the Accra police has clamped down on motorbikes. They say many are using fake number plates. We brought you a detailed report on that as well. That will be it for the AM News. Stay with us. We'll bring you sport shortly, and it's brought to you by Cowbell.
Just stay out. I'll be right back. Well, thanks for joining us for the sports, and we know it's brought to you by Cowbell. Now we bring you, as the start of the bulletin we have for you for the morning, the SCP fixtures, and very soon on your screens you have the first Capital Premier League fixtures for midweek today, and Interlights will be facing off with Wa All Stars, Heart of Lions, Indiana Stars, Liberty Professionals, Cape Coast Ebusia Dwars. King Faisal will also be hosting Amidans Professionals, and Kumasi Asante Kotoko will travel to Secondary to go and face Hazakes. New Dubiasi FC will also go to Bechem, and Brekum FC, or the Brekum Chelsea team, would also be playing host to Accra House of Folk. So those are the fixtures we have for you for the first Capital Plus Premier League. That's the Ghana's leading Premier League. We have to go to